So very quickly, my favorite religious client story is I had a client who was a fundamentalist Christian, Bible-believing fundamentalist Christian. And we worked very hard to negotiate a really complex and favorable resolution to his divorce. He had a huge marital estate. We put this great deal together. And so we were going into court just to do what's called a voir dire or allocution, which is where you say to both parties, you understand the deal, you accept the deal, you understand you had a right to go to trial, you're waiving that, you're not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol, okay, go in peace, like we're done. It's the way you finalize a case. So after this long battle back and forth, we got this case done. We show up that morning, he says to me, Jim, God spoke to me last night, late last night, and he told me that I should not take this settlement. I said, listen, man, we negotiated this over the last whatever months. This is a great deal. You have a tremendous amount of risk if we don't. Like, we told the judge the case is settled. You know, he said, Jim, I'm sorry. I prayed on it, and God spoke to me, and he said, you know, that I should not take the deal. So we blew up the settlement. We ended up doing the trial that day. Ultimately, it ended up worse for him. Like, we were correct. He should have taken the deal. But I got back to the office, and my longtime law partner, Colin, was there. I said to him, oh my God, you're not gonna believe what happened. And I tell him the story. He goes to me, you know, Jim, you handled that all wrong. I said, what do you mean? He said, what you should have said is, what time did you talk to God? And if he said, well, like 3 o'clock, be like, okay, here's what's funny. At about 4:30, I talked to him. And he said, Jim, my son in whom I am well pleased, how I clove into thee and my beloved, go forth and spread the faith. Also, if you see Brian today, tell him forget what I said yesterday. I was thinking about it and he really should just take the fucking deal. And he couldn't disprove that any more than I could disprove what he had said about it. So it would have been the better way to handle it. So that was my favorite religious client story, because if I ever get the occasion to do that again, I'm definitely going to handle it that way.
To tie it all back to what you said earlier, though, at the end of the day, it's because he emotionally feels like, you know, that's what, like he ain't gonna convince the guy what God told him, right? But
you're not. You're not. And so getting to the core of like, what's that really about? But religion, like, see, matters of faith. What's very interesting to me about matters of faith are like matters of emotion. Like if you know, I always ask someone, like if someone says something to me, like about they believe, and I go, what would you accept as proof that that isn't true? If the answer is nothing, then we're arguing faith. We're not arguing logic. So like emotion, like I'm sad. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Like there's no way you could prove to me that I'm not, you know? So there's certain things like it's not worth arguing over. And I argue for a living. I get paid to argue, but I realize the limitations of argument.